Hello, and welcome to Electro Nerds Academy. In today's video, we're going to dive into the details of the AccelStepper library. While the Arduino stepper library works well for simple single-motor projects, the AccelStepper library is ideal when you need to control multiple stepper motors, use half-step control, or manage acceleration and deceleration. It provides far more flexibility and performance than the standard stepper library. Since the AccelStepper library isn't included with the Arduino IDE, you'll need to install it first. To do this, go to Sketch, Include Library, Manage Libraries. After the library manager loads, search for AccelStepper and install it. Once it's installed, you can include the library in your code. Simply use the include statement followed by the name of the library, which is AccelStepper, and end with .h. Next, we create an object of the AccelStepper class. By first writing the name of the library, which is AccelStepper, then we will write the name of our object. It could be anything, but in our case, let's name it myStepper. Next, we have to pass a set of parameters to the constructor. The first parameter specifies the interface type, which tells the library how the motor will be controlled, whether it's using 2-wire, 3-wire, 4-wire, or a dedicated driver interface. The common interface types, along with their respective code, are shown. The first is driver, which is used for step direction drivers like the A4988 or DRV8825. These drivers only require two signals, one for the step pulse and one for direction. Then there's full 2-wire for controlling a basic 2-wire stepper motor, full 3-wire for a 3-wire full step setup, which is less common, and full 4-wire for a full step control of 4-wire stepper motors, where you control both A and B coils directly. There are also half 3-wire and half 4-wire options for half stepping with 3-wire and 4-wire motors, respectively. For example, if you're using full 4-wire control, you can write full 4-wire as the first parameter. However, there could be a conflict if other libraries or variables use the same name. To avoid this, you can specify that the constant belongs to the AccelStepper class by writing the class name followed by the scope resolution operator, and then the interface name, which is full 4-wire. This ensures there's no ambiguity in your code. Or instead, you can simply write the code for this interface type, which is 4. The next 4 parameters specify the control pins for the stepper motor. The exact role of each pin depends on the interface type. For the driver interface, pin 1 is the step pin, and pin 2 is the direction pin. For full 4-wire or half 4-wire interfaces, pin 1 and pin 2 control the first coil, while pin 3 and pin 4 control the second coil. Since we are using the full 4-wire interface, we will write the 4-pin numbers for the 2 coils. Once the object is created, we can start implementing the functions available in the AccelStepper library. First, we have the setMaxSpeed function, which sets the maximum speed of the motor in steps per second. For example, if we want the motor to move at a maximum speed of 1,000 steps per second, we'll set this value using the setMaxSpeed function within the setup section of the code. Next is the setAcceleration function, which defines the acceleration and deceleration rate in steps per second squared. If we want the motor to accelerate at a rate of 100 steps per second squared, we use the setAcceleration function and write 100 in the parentheses. We also have the setSpeed function, which sets the motor's speed directly without applying any acceleration or deceleration. Positive values move the motor forward, and negative values move it in reverse. For example, to move the motor forward at 500 steps per second, we set the speed to 500. To move it in reverse, we use -500. The next function is the moveTo function. This function allows you to set a target position for the motor, measured in steps from its starting point. It doesn't actually move the motor itself, but sets the target position the motor should reach. To make the motor move to this target, you need to call the run function continuously in the main loop. The run function moves the motor one step at a time, ensuring smooth motion as long as it's called repeatedly. It's also non-blocking, meaning it won't pause the rest of your program while the motor is moving. For example, if you set the target position to 100 steps with moveTo 100, and then repeatedly call run in the loop, the motor will gradually advance 100 steps, moving one step at a time each time the run function is called. Importantly, the position set by moveTo is absolute, meaning it's measured from the zero-step position of the motor. So, if we set the current position of the motor to 50 by using the setCurrentPosition function of the library, and we had call moveTo 100 earlier, the motor will only move 50 more steps to reach the 100th step position. And if we had called moveTo minus 50, the motor would first return to the zero-step position by rotating in the opposite direction, and then move 50 steps more in this opposite direction. If you prefer to move the motor by a specific number of steps relative to its current position, you can use the move function instead. For instance, if you replace the moveTo with move and set the target to 100 steps, the motor will move forward 100 steps from wherever it is, regardless of the zero-step position. So in this case, the setCurrentPosition function has no use. If you set the target to minus 100, the motor will move 100 steps backward from its current position. Unlike moveTo, the move function doesn't rely on the zero-step position and moves directly from wherever the motor is at the time of the function call. Both the move and moveTo functions don't physically spin the motor. They simply set the target position for the motor to reach. We can also determine the remaining distance in steps for the motor to reach its target position using the distance-to-go function. A common implementation would be to make the motor complete one full revolution in one direction, then reverse and complete a full revolution in the opposite direction, creating a continuous oscillating motion. In the setup, we set the target position to 200 steps using the move function. In the loop, the run function is used to move the motor toward the 200-step position. Once the motor reaches this target, we use an if statement to check if distance to go equals 0, indicating the motor has arrived at the set position. When this condition is met, we set a new target position as the negative of the current position using the currentPosition function inside the move function. This causes the motor to rotate one full revolution in the opposite direction. The cycle repeats as the condition becomes true each time the motor reaches its target, and the position is updated accordingly. Now, let's talk about some variants of the run function. First, we have the runToPosition function. Like the run function, it moves the motor toward a target position, but instead of advancing just one step each time it's called, runToPosition continuously supplies the steps needed to move the motor to the target position and blocks further code execution until the motor reaches that position. To demonstrate this, let's consider controlling two motors. We'll use two L298 driver modules, one for each motor, and won't go into the circuit details here, as it's similar to what we discussed in a previous video. Each motor is rated for 200 steps per revolution. The control pins for the first motor are 4, 5, 6, and 7, and for the second motor, they are 8, 9, 10, and 11. First, we'll clear the previous code except for the include statement for the library. Then we'll create two objects, myStepper1 and myStepper2, specifying the interface type for each motor and the pins connected to their respective drivers. In the setup function, we'll set the maximum speed to 200 steps per second, the acceleration to 100 steps per second squared, and the initial speed to 100 steps per second. We'll then set the target position for myStepper1 to 200 steps. After that, we'll apply the same settings to myStepper2. In the loop function, we'll move the first motor by calling myStepper1.runToPosition, followed by myStepper2.runToPosition. When this program runs, you'll notice that motor 1 will move to its target position of 200 steps while motor 2 remains stationary. Once motor 1 reaches its target, motor 2 will begin moving toward its own 200-step target. If we want both motors to move simultaneously, we can replace runToPosition with the regular run function. This way, both motors will reach their target positions at roughly the same time. If acceleration and deceleration aren't important and you just want the motor to move to the target position at a constant speed, you can use the run speed-to-position function instead. Keep in mind, whenever using a constant speed function like this, it's important to call the setSpeed function just before it to avoid erratic behavior. So we'll move the setSpeed calls from the setup function to the loop just before their respective run speed to position functions. Now both motors will move to their target positions at a constant speed. Another constant speed variant is the run speed function. This one moves the motor at a fixed speed without considering target positions or acceleration and deceleration. If we replace run speed to position with run speed, the motors will move continuously at the set speed, disregarding target positions entirely. Finally, there's the run to new position function, which combines the behavior of moveTo and run functions. You specify a new target position, and the motor moves to it in one go. This function is also blocking, like runToPosition. Let's now remove the moveTo function calls and replace the run speed function with run to new position function. For motor 1, we'll set a new target of 400 steps, and for motor 2, a target of 100 steps. When the program runs, motor 1 will first reach its new position at 400 steps, followed by motor 2 moving to its 100-step target. Since this is not a constant speed function, there's no need to call setSpeed just before it. This was a short overview of the most commonly used functions in the AccelStepper library. We hope you have learned something useful. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos, and we will see you in the next one.